the largest tornado in history is coming straight at a legendary research team. What was supposed to be a routine mission turned into a fatal trap. However, 11 days earlier, Oklahoma had already witnessed something similar. On May 20th, 2013, a powerful thunderstorm darkened the skies over the suburbs of Moore, Oklahoma. At around 2:56 p.m. local time, an EF5 tornado formed west of Newcastle. At first, it appeared as a narrow funnel, but within minutes, it rapidly intensified. The tornado moved east-northeast, leaving a trail of destruction stretching 17 miles. The tornado rapidly expanded to nearly 1.3 miles in width, with estimated winds exceeding 200 miles per hour. Thousands of homes were destroyed, but some of the worst devastation occurred at Plaza Towers Elementary and Briarwood Elementary schools. Children and teachers suddenly found themselves directly in the storm's path as buildings collapsed into debris, while trees and cars were lifted into the violent vortex.
I don't know how to explain it, how to describe it. This is terrible. This is war zone terrible. This school is completely gone.
The emergency personnel have backed out of the school. They're pulling in more vehicles. They're backing people away. And I understand they're going to start pulling these tiny victims out of the rubble here shortly.
It's too difficult, Lance. I'm so
While
sorry.
most people were trying to escape, a team of researchers headed straight toward the storm. Engineer and storm chaser Tim Samaras led the team, striving to place probes directly in the tornado's path. Their mission was to measure pressure, wind speed, and the behavior of subvortices, phenomena that had rarely been captured at such close range before. The tornado visited and shifted unpredictably, its funnel contracting and suddenly widening, leaving a massive zone of destruction in its wake. Residents described it as a dark, deafening wall that seemed to swallow everything in its path.
Oh my God. Trevor.
Please.
Huh? Please. Oh my God, son. Oh God, it's terrible.
We're inside the cellar door. We locked the cellar door once we saw it coming. It got louder, and next thing you know, you see the latch coming undone, and we couldn't reach for it, and it ripped open the door, and it just glass and debris started slamming on us, and we thought we were dead, to be honest.
But for the storm chasers, this was a rare opportunity to collect life-saving data. After about 40 minutes, the vortex finally weakened and dissipated. It left behind massive destruction. But for the scientific mission, the day was lost. Despite all their efforts, gridlock in the suburbs of Moore became an insurmountable obstacle for the Twistex team. They were never able to get close to the core. The empty sensors in Moore were a personal defeat for Tim. His primary instruments, the famous turtles, remained in the trunk, trapped in an endless traffic jam. Frustrated by his failure, he sought a rematch against the circumstances, which led him to El Reno just 11 days later. Tim didn't just want to be a spectator, he sought the results that science demanded. After the tornado in Moore, the world's attention toward violent tornadoes only intensified, but for Tim Samaras, this was nothing new. His life had long revolved around these storms.
Cranking up the volume to clean your speaker? My phone was full of dust. Don't do that.
You know, I've been doing this for 20 years. I enjoy the hell out of it. I really do. Out here watching the great clouds, the great storms, you never know exactly what you're going to find.
He didn't just chase tornadoes. He wanted to understand what was happening inside them. Every expedition was an opportunity to collect data that had never been measured before. In the 1990s, Samaras started chasing tornadoes, usually F2 to F4, for his first field studies. He began testing his probes inside real tornadoes, feeling the winds and pressure firsthand. Each run taught him something new, how to survive the storm and make his instruments work. In the early 2000s, Samaras founded the Twistex Project. The team spent years chasing tornadoes across Tornado Alley, Kansas, Nebraska, Oklahoma, and Texas. Their goal was to place scientific probes directly in the path of tornadoes, capturing rare data about subvortices and the interaction of multiple funnels inside a single storm circulation. Between 2003 and 2006, Samaras and his team began collecting something meteorology had almost never seen before: direct measurements from inside powerful F3 and F4 tornadoes. Around that time, he introduced a new device known as the Turtle, a compact, heavily reinforced probe built to survive winds over 250 miles per hour. For the first time, scientific instruments were being placed almost at the heart of a tornado. Strong anchoring systems and real-time telemetry allowed the probes to transmit reliable measurements even during the most violent storms. The Twistex team could now track the movement of subvortices and pinpoint the most dangerous zones inside a tornado, knowledge that would later help improve warning systems and save lives. One of the most famous moments in Samaras' career came on June 24, 2003, near Manchester, South Dakota. While chasing an F4 tornado, he placed a probe directly in the storm's path. When the tornado passed over it, the sensors recorded a dramatic pressure drop, one of the largest pressure drops ever recorded in a tornado. The measurement shocked meteorologists and earned Samaras a place in the Guinness World Records. But it wasn't the only breakthrough. In 2009, near Aurora, Nebraska, Tim placed another probe beneath an approaching tornado. Cameras captured something scientists had rarely seen in the field: the main circulation passing directly over the instrument, while smaller subvortices spun violently around it. The footage gave scientists their first direct field observations of how subvortices behave and interact inside a tornado. Samaras' contributions also extended into the study of lightning. He engineered a custom high-speed camera called the Kahuna, capable of recording up to 10,000 frames per second.
There's actually 82 cameras on this instrument here, taking one picture of the lightning and 1 microsecond steps of time at 1 million frames per second.
For the first time, scientists could watch lightning form step by step as it traveled from cloud to ground. During these expeditions, Tim and his team would drive into open fields with trucks full of cameras and instruments, recording the hidden structure of lightning and storms. It became clear that his talent went far beyond storm chasing. He was an engineer, an inventor, and a scientist obsessed with understanding the most violent forces in the atmosphere. However, over time, it stopped being just about the storms. It became about passing everything he knew to his son, Paul. He was a talented photographer and a natural observer. Out in the dark, empty plains, Tim taught him how to place probes, how to read the sky, how to get closer than anyone else dared. And Paul learned fast. By his teens, he was already joining real expeditions. And a month before the El Reno tornado, he wrote to his friends on Facebook, "Okay, so let's say the possibility of doing a documentary on my dad with storm chasing is in the air. What have you always wondered about him, storm chasing or not?" Meanwhile, Tim demonstrated that the most destructive force of a tornado is concentrated within the first 33 feet above the ground. He was also among the first to apply photogrammetry to measure debris speed, helping refine the enhanced Fujita scale. These years shaped Tim Samaras into one of the most respected storm researchers in the world. All that experience would soon lead into the most dangerous moment of his career, the El Reno tornado, which would surpass all others in size and power. May 31st, 2013. Oklahoma was suffocating in heat and humidity, the kind that fuels violent storms. The air itself seemed to carry a warning. Whatever was forming near El Reno wasn't going to be an ordinary tornado. Earlier that day, Tim Samaras posted a message on Twitter. "Storms now initiating south of Watonga along Triple Point. Dangerous day ahead for OK. Stay weather savvy." He knew the atmosphere was primed for something dangerous, and without hesitation, he headed straight toward it. At 6:03 p.m., the first funnel touched the ground. It didn't look like the classic cone-shaped tornado people expected to see. Instead, it appeared as a chaotic wall of rain, slowly swallowing the horizon. Even experienced storm chasers felt uneasy. What they didn't realize was that the storm was about to evolve into a true meteorological monster. From the very beginning, the El Reno tornado didn't resemble a clearly defined funnel. It was a far more complex atmospheric phenomenon known as a multi-vortex tornado. Inside the larger circulation, numerous smaller funnels called subvortices formed and rotated at extreme speeds. These subvortices constantly appeared, intensified, and vanished, all while orbiting around the main center of rotation, and each one of them could carry wind speeds even greater than the primary circulation itself. Because of this, the structure of the tornado was never static. In a multi-vortex tornado, the most dangerous winds could appear almost anywhere within the circulation, making it extremely difficult to determine a safe distance.
Moving due east, and it's a large multi-vortex. I'd like to say the main circulation is probably about a half-mile wide, and there's individual vortices coming down that are more intense.
This is what made the 2013 El Reno tornado so extraordinarily dangerous. When one subvortex weakened and another formed nearby, the area of peak winds effectively shifted inside the storm. Tim Samaras' team.
With delicious rewards, you earn points for doing what you love. Digging into your Culver's favorites. Yum! Earn 10 points for every $1 you spend and turn those points into free menu items. Because the more you love Culver's,
including his son Paul, and meteorologist Carl Young, was traveling in a passenger car northeast of the tornado's starting point, attempting to deploy probes within the storm's circulation. They coordinated their movements over radio, searching for the best locations to place their instruments, but every decision carried an enormous risk. A sudden shift in the tornado's direction could place them directly in its path within seconds, and this storm was shifting constantly. Around 6:15 p.m., the tornado was initially moving east-southeast before abruptly turning north and then northeast, an unusual and dangerous shift that caught many chasers off guard. Moments later, it made a sharp turn toward the north and northeast, forcing the team to rapidly adjust their position. Samaras and his colleagues tried to maintain what they believed was a safe distance from the main circulation while placing probes to record pressure, temperature, and the behavior of the subvortices. The data they hoped to collect could reveal how extreme winds interact with smaller rotating vortices inside a large tornado.
You can kind of see the dirt and everything off kind of going up in there, so if anything's on the ground, Gary, I believe it's right in there, but it's going to be rain wrapped. This is the most dangerous tornado you can have because you can't see it coming at all.
Around 6:20 p.m., the El Reno tornado stopped being just another storm. It evolved into an unusually complex and dangerous system. Within minutes, the circulation expanded to a record-breaking width of 2.6 miles. But the greatest danger was hidden. A massive rain curtain completely wrapped around the tornado, making its true boundaries invisible from the outside. The Twistex team had unknowingly driven into a deadly trap. They believed they were still at a safe distance, but in reality, their white Chevrolet Cobalt was already inside the outer windfield of the expanding monster. At 6:23 p.m., as the tornado crossed near Highway 81, it was already in its late-stage expansion phase, becoming fully rain-wrapped and approaching its maximum width. The situation had already become irreversible. The storm structure grew even more chaotic, as intense wind regions, with radar-measured speeds approaching 300 miles per hour, formed and shifted unpredictably within the circulation. Carl said quietly, "There's no rain. It's getting eerily quiet." Tim responded, "Actually, I think we're in a bad spot." At the same moment, another storm chaser speeding away from the approaching tornado captured Tim's vehicle in his rear-view dash camera, just as the storm engulfed it. There were no final screams or desperate calls over the radio. The team's signal simply vanished as they were overtaken by the unseen monster. Behind the wall of rain, the atmosphere had reached the point of total chaos. Around 6:24 p.m., the vehicle was likely struck by one of the most intense wind regions within the tornado circulation, where radar estimated winds near 300 miles per hour. The impact was instantaneous. The Twistex team had no time to turn the car or avoid the hidden vortex. And then, the wind was so violent that the Chevrolet Cobalt was lifted into the air, thrown, and rolled multiple times. The metal twisted apart, equipment was torn from the vehicle, and the car came to a rest in a field over 2,000 feet from where it had been struck. In an instant, everything changed for Tim Samaras, his son Paul, and Carl Young. Even the most cautious storm researcher in history had no chance against this tornado. It broke every rule scientists thought they understood about positioning, movement, and distance. When rescue teams finally reached what remained of Tim's vehicle, the scene was almost impossible to examine. Tim was still strapped into his seat at the location where the car had come to rest, with the other two members of his team, Paul and Carl, were found far away. Carl about half a mile to the west, and Paul approximately a quarter mile to the east. Canadian County Undersheriff Chris West later described the wreckage in stark terms. Speaking to the Washington Post, he said, "It looks like it had gone through a trash compactor. The car was probably about 60 to 70% of its normal size because it had been pushed and mauled and compacted as it was tumbling down the road." Tim and Paul Samaras and Carl Young were killed instantly. Later, investigators recovered cameras and sensors from the wreckage of the Twistex vehicle. The data recovered from onboard recorders and cameras, showing the violent structure of the subvortices, would become the team's final scientific legacy.
By the time I'm old and retired, I'm hoping to contribute enough that people can take this piece and run with it. Then other younger people, such as the college students that are participating on this, can take off and then finish out the mission when I'm long gone.
Samaras' wife, Kathy, lost both her husband and her son that day. In later interviews, she spoke about how the tragedy had devastated her.
But as you can understand, we're still adjusting to our new reality without him.
Yet the measurements collected by the Twistex team became a foundation for future research into the internal mechanics of violent tornadoes. They helped scientists better understand the risks these storms pose to populated areas and improve early warning systems. The data recorded by their cameras and probes continues to be used in scientific papers and meteorological studies, preserving Samaras' legacy. Witnesses later described the El Reno tornado as a dark wall moving across the land. It was the widest tornado ever recorded in the United States. For Tim Samaras, it became the final chapter of a lifetime spent chasing storms. A tornado that took his life, but left behind knowledge that continues to save others.
It started with The Wizard of Oz. I was out in my room doing something. My mom says, "Tim, you gotta come and watch this musical." I said, "I don't want to watch a musical." And she sat me down and played it. And the next thing I know, here's this big, black, nasty tornado that was in the picture, and it was just fantastic. I was mesmerized by this thing. And ever since then, I've just set on a lifelong quest to go watch a tornado.